You're listening to The Bold Blueprint with Claire Bartlett. This is the go-to podcast for business owners who are ready to be bold, step into your power and claim the success that you deserve. So whether you're an established business or just starting out, this podcast is your weekly dose of unapologetic inspiration, empowerment and actionable advice to take your business to the next level. So whether it's the highs, the lows, or everything in between, I'm here to help you build a business that reflects who you truly are. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of small businesses and a proud sponsor of the Bold Blueprint podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have amazingly offered a 50% discount off your first 3 months with them. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, just follow the link in the show note. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Bold Blueprint. This week I am joined by the gorgeous Georgia Shears, who is a life design strategist, and I just absolutely adore that job title. So Georgie, welcome to the show.
I'm going to dispel good morning. Well, it's actually we're afternoon, aren't we? I'm going to dispel that a little bit because I've had a little title update, Claire, you know.
Oh,
If you no, it doesn't matter. I was, when you saw me and when we met, I was a life design strategist. Now, I have actually tweaked my title, and titles are important, but this is just a little more descriptive. So I call myself now a nervous system strategist. I still absolutely use my Shift Life design system, so nothing's changed. It's just that I realised my approach was really centred in the nervous system. So I just updated my title to help people.
Well, this is even more exciting.
Yeah.
If you want to start off by, I always ask all my guests how you sort of got onto this path and what led you to where you are. And then we'll dive into what it is that you actually do and how you help people.
Yeah, of course. But I think everybody, first of all, thanks so much for having me on, and hello to everybody. I think when you do work like this and you want to help people, it always comes from a journey of your own. And mine is a history of horrific anxiety, depression, panic attacks, that feeling of never feeling enough, always had loads of friends. You know, from the outside in, you would think dead happy, always having loads of fun. But I just never felt it inside. And that is really what set me off on this journey. But where I am now very much comes from a pivotal moment in 2020. I'd been a health, fitness and lifestyle coach for over a decade. I didn't suffer panic attacks then. That was sort of 17 years ago. And I'd learned to manage my anxiety with talk therapies and exercise. And I did loads of sort of self-healing work and But then in 2020, obviously we all know what happened. I had to close down my in-person business. And sadly, COVID coincided with a time when my dear cousin, or cousin sister as we used to call each other, was in the very late stages of cancer. And so we took the kids out of school early, lockdown, so we could see her, obviously, because you couldn't be near anybody who had, could have had COVID, in touch with anybody. And in a nutshell, my main anxiety used to be health anxiety. It had always been. So couple a pandemic with being locked down, not knowing what's going to happen. And my cousin's real. It was a lot. And I was watching the news like a wally, scaring myself, swear worded. And my panic attacks came back basically. And it was horrendous. And I was obviously homeschooling my children, trying to make out this is all fun and safe. And there's me in a crumpled heap. Body had shut down, couldn't exercise to release the anxiety anymore, but body had just said no, and I just didn't know what to do. Reached literal breaking point. I was terrified. And in that moment, desperation, grabbed my phone, searched for how do I stop a panic attack now? And I don't know if you've heard me say this story before, but I found just an anxiety SOS meditation and thought, really, but I was desperate.
You try anything?
I tried anything. And there I was 12 minutes later, calm as anything. The anxiety had gone. And I just had this, I call it an awakening, but I'm very down to earth and I can see the eye roll. That's what I feel like. It was like a massive awakening. It was like, you've just had a panic attack because you watched the news. watch the news, and I never have done since.
And this is also relatable as well, especially in that time. I mean, we were all, the anxiety in the whole world, I imagine, was so heightened. But
Yeah.
you, like you said, when you're homeschooling your children, and this is something that you've suffered with before. So I suppose finding that small meditation that completely managed to snap you out of it and bring you back round must have been so transformational for you.
It was, for me, it was, I'd done so much taught therapy and I knew how powerful we are as humans in the human mind. But I tell you what I hadn't realised was the resource we had inside us. Everything I had ever done, I realised, had come from outside.
Right.
And in this moment, because I'd got quiet, heard myself inside say, you don't have to do that. You get to choose a different way. And honestly, it has been that tiny little moment that has set me off on this journey, which was all about, oh my God, if you get quiet, you can hear yourself. And the answer, and we all know it because we all lie to ourselves, don't we? We like, try and pretend you can't hear that voice inside.
Yeah. What it's telling us.
Exactly that. But so, that is how I sort of got on this journey. And then I learned how to launch an online course. I'd never even been on Zoom. And then, I think
you ever hadn't before 2020.
You had Lisa Johnson on here, who I seeked out. I'd never heard of Lisa. I wanted a mentor to really help me bring this because I knew how powerful the work, this new missing jigsaw piece in the work I already did to help humans get the most out of life, and found her. So I tracked Lisa down, never heard of her before. My word, she's been transformational as she is.
Yeah. So powerful.
So powerful. There you go.
That's such an amazing journey. And like I said, I think it will resonate with so many people because it happens to all of us at different stages in our lives, but we've all been at that point where we've just felt so overwhelmed. The anxiety, the walls are closing in on us, and we just feel like we don't know where to turn and don't know how to move forward in whatever it is that's surrounding us. So I think I don't think I've ever heard anyone explain it quite like that, everything had always been external for you. We all read the books, the self-help books, we listen to the podcast, we do this, we do that. But actually, the majority of the power that we need is already inside us, and we need to be listening to ourselves. I think that's so beautiful. So you created some courses and you transitioned your business and started then helping people in this more rounded way.
Yeah, I did. But interesting to know what you just said there, because I did. And at this point, I hadn't looked into the nervous system. I was looking at intuition and limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And gratitude practices, which honestly, I would have rolled my eyes out. I'm like, I'll do us a favour, I'm busy. But I started doing it and I started learning the sciences behind, okay, I can get on board with that, because you're literally rewiring neural pathways to focus on positive. Now your brain knows you want to see those positive things. So that fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing this for a good couple of years. And yes, that is what I wrote courses on, hence why I launched as a life design strategist.
Right.
I'm so passionate about it, but I never stopped learning. It's lived experience, it's professional experience. I want to get better and better. I've never been happy inside my own skin. And I see that with my clients, and that's what I help happen. And that cannot put it down. It's my utter passion. It just...
Yeah. And I can see that in your face. I can hear it in your voice. Yeah. And I met you, was it maybe 2 months ago now? So I saw you.
Yeah, I can't even remember what it was.
I'm like, yeah. I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, and I saw you speaking on stage at Ideas Fest, and your entire story and your passion just resonated with me so much. I was like, I need her to come on the podcast and share this message with the world. And I think it's a really important message. And I think, again, people will really understand what it is. And education, like we say, we can always be improving ourselves, but it's just about listening to ourselves more, and the understanding and the kindness. And I think, so I talk about this, and I joke about being woo and being into, the journaling, gratitude journaling and manifestation and all of those things. But it's not just a woo thing. There's science behind it. It's facts. And if you actually look into it and you understand what is happening in your mind and actually the science and the facts behind it, It really does and can work for anybody in any, situation. It doesn't have to be about wanting to earn £1 million or having that car or that lifestyle. It can just be about how you want to feel about yourself, can't it? And those sorts of things. And I think some people think it has to be for some really massive plan, and it really doesn't.
It doesn't. I'm going to be slightly controversial here because, as I say, no, I totally agree with you. And as I say, for a good couple of years, I was all about that, and I still do that daily. I think there's huge value in all those practices. I meditate as soon as I wake up. I journal in a way that I want to. I don't think you have to live by rules, and this is it. You do what feels good in your own body. And this is something that's so important to learn about with the nervous system, because although I thought it was all mindset, it goes further down than that. So I was teaching mindset and I still hugely believe in it. But nervous system is physiological. It's a part of your body that is in you, that is designed solely to keep you alive. So when you are feeling anxiety, that is your body thinking you're in danger. It's actually doing you a really kind thing.
Yeah.
Anxiety, rather than being something to be scared of, which I was for years, it's actually, if you can utilize it as a warning sign that you're doing something that doesn't feel good to you, your body feels like it's in danger.
Yeah.
It's evolutionary, this. So what might happen, every single experience you have ever been through in life is stored in your nervous system. It's like a database of everything. And even if you don't consciously remember it,
wow.
There's something called neuroception. And this is part of your nervous system. It is literally designed to be constantly looking out for danger, be that in your environment, in people around you, in your own body. It is literally in milliseconds it works. We're doing it now. You're looking at
that fight or flight mode that
exactly that.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly that. So when your nervous system feels like it's in danger, it goes into fight or flight, ready to, as it says, either fight back or flee. And it releases chemicals that allow you to run or fight. Yeah. So it shuts down, it sends the blood rushing to all the parts you need to do those things and borrows the energy from all the places that don't need to fight or flight, like your digestive system or your immune system. Hence, why when we spend too long in fight or flight, we start to get poorly.
Right. Yeah.
People have really bad digestive issues. They can't sleep because you've got all these wired chemicals in your body.
Yeah.
Just
amazing.
If you think of it like that, you can't go back to thinking of it any other way. And I will stop speaking in a minute, but really important to note is the nervous system cannot hear you tell it it's safe.
Right. Okay.
Thinking thing. This happens below the neck, so it's not the brain. We need to show our nervous systems they're safe. So when we're talking about practices like gratitude and meditation, we are actively slowing the body down, place where it feels in flow and calm, and it knows it's safe, and therefore your body can function properly. You feel happier, you feel calmer. Your prefrontal cortex, which is your creative brain, comes back on board, because that's not needed either when you're going to fight or flight. So when all the kind of high achieving people that I work with are pushing, trying to get to that next level in business or achieve this before they allow themselves to slow down, they're actually switching off the bit they really need to get to that next level and enjoy the success they've created anyway.
It's incredible, isn't it? And I find it really interesting though, because how does it work in certain situations? So for instance, wanting to go and talk on stage like you did at Ideas Fest. Now, obviously, especially if it's the very first time you've ever done that, gosh, the anxiety's there, the adrenaline, and you're definitely in fight or flight mode. This is very out of your comfort zone. So how does that impact everything, and how can you handle those situations when you really are, consciously escaping your comfort zone and what happen move forward, but it's going to create these physical reactions for you?
It's a great question, that as well, actually. And from my own experience, that I found really exciting. And actually, excitement and nerves do feel very similar. They're very similar. But I'll go back a few years ago, and one of the mantras I told myself, as well as being claustrophobic and scared of heights, as you heard me say on stage, was I could never stand in front of a room full of people. I'm just not that type of person. Because years ago, an experience I had was in a trustee meeting. I'm a trustee of a charity foundation. I had to speak while I went bright red, completely blank, and could not speak. And that obviously stored in my nervous system as a memory. So cue forward to on stage, how do we deal with that? It is taking very small steps. It's not going from not daring do anything to suddenly standing on a stage in front of 300 people.
It's because this is exactly what I teach. You can't go from never speaking to doing a TEDx. Like, that's too far. The way that I explain it, and you see if this fits and resonates with you, is it's too, if you try and vision yourself doing a TEDx, it's too far a leap for you to, consciously believe that you can make. But by breaking it down, so every time, instead of leaping out of your comfort zone, just sort of nudging the boundaries of it just slightly every time. And then suddenly give yourself a year and you'll look back and you won't even realize how far you've come, because it's not been as painful as just making that, huge leap.
Not only do I agree, sorry to talk over you, I absolutely promote that. And that is, again, because gently, you are just showing your nervous system that at each stage it's safe.
Yeah.
And that your nervous system literally controls everything.
Yeah. So, and I think each time that you do it, because you've done it once and you've survived it, you don't have the same severe reaction. So I speak about this all the time. The very first time I had to do public speaking, I had a really physical reaction. The sweat, my legs were shaking. I was breathless, like I couldn't catch my breath. But I asked the audience after, some of the people I knew in the audience, and they genuinely said we couldn't see. We could tell that you were nervous, couldn't see most of this physical reaction that you were having, because most of it is sort of internal, isn't it? Next time I did it, it was a slightly bigger audience, but I was a lot less nervous because I knew that I could survive it. I'd done it once already. But I have a very funny, well, it wasn't funny at the time, very funny story to you. So I was in the choir when I was at school. I was a soprano, which my husband laughs at constantly now, because when I sing, it does not sound as pretty as it did back then. But I was given the privilege of being a solo in the, I think it was a Christmas Carol concert or something. And I was so excited. And in rehearsal, they got this cube out for me to stand on my own, away from the choir. And my part came and I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. I just could not sing under that pressure. And then obviously then the emotions kick in, and then I was getting more and more worked up, which meant I had even less chance of getting the words out. And in the end, they took the role away from me. And I just stood back in the soprano section of the choir. Oh, that stuck with me for a really long time.
So well done you, like genuinely now doing what you do. That's taken work.
It's a gradual process though, isn't it? And it is, sitting in, I always say, got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be able to push yourself slightly. But if I'd ever tried to do something huge from the beginning, that just would not have worked for me. I had to break it down into manageable steps.
You did, but I just think so many people in this world, the entrepreneurial world, certainly, we're all very determined and we're all pushing boundaries, aren't we? You don't have to do this. We're choosing to. And I think I am like my biggest passion, having lost quite a few special people, and just seeing the beauty and the enjoyment that we get out of this, like, one short, precious life. We've just got to make it as big as we can. You don't have to stay small. You can if you want. But hearing you doing that, you could have said, no, because I just can't. I know I'm not that type of person, but we're not a type of person. We're the message, we're the passion that's inside, aren't we? And we deserve to bring that out in our lives, and we can do it, and we can do it in a gentle way that we can look back and go, wow, just like you are. And I just think that's magical. I really do.
And I think there's so much to say about the labels that we put on ourselves. So we can label ourselves as not the type of person that would ever public speak, or, oh, I'm really untidy, or I'm always late. These are all labels that we give ourselves. And we can easily take them away as well. But if you're constantly telling yourself, I'm always late, I'm the type of person, I'm never ever on time, your body and your mind will just start believing that, and then you will never be on time.
Yeah.
It's about changing how we speak to ourselves, isn't it? And how we behave.
Yeah.
Showing ourselves that we can do whatever it is that we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think you touched on science before, because I like things very tangible. I do believe in the woo, but I have to hear the tangible side to make myself.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I need the balance.
I need the balance, exactly that. Yeah, I need to know that when I'm teaching something, if someone asks me something, I'm like, oh no, because that's this. And I don't know the answer, and I'll go off and find it. But I think it was actually Mel Robbins a few years ago who I heard this, sort of learned about the reticular activating system in the brain. It's like a hairnet over your brain. So it obviously, so much information goes in our brain all day, every day. There has to be a filter. Otherwise, we'd just explode, possibly. And so when we're telling...
Science proves that, but we can look into that. Right?
Sounds about exploding brains. There is not. But I think when we're saying to ourselves, I'm always late, what you're actually doing is telling your brain you want to see evidence that you're always late. If you're buying a new car, you see that car everywhere, because you're actually programming your brain. So when we're rewriting limiting beliefs, you'll know this. You're actually saying to your brain, no, I'm not always late, because when I go to this thing that I absolutely love, I'm always on time.
Yeah.
You're rewriting it, and therefore showing your brain, I want proof that I am not late. And and that's why you start seeing the positives. And that, for me, is why manifestation works, because you start seeing the opportunities and taking the opportunities, because you're focusing your brain on that thing. That's my take on it.
I genuinely feel like I'm speaking to myself, like we have so many of the same views, and you're using so many of the same scenarios. So how does all of this then, if we go deeper into the nervous system, how does all of this connect to that? So we're talking about, reframing our mind, and then that opens up seeing the opportunities around us, or seeing what, the positives that we're looking for. So how does that then impact the nervous system?
It's the other way, I would say. So what happens is every experience we've ever had is stored in our nervous system, as I say. So part of that, let's use the example of public speaking, because it's one that everyone's terrified of, isn't it? Part of that could be that when you were at school, you may have been bullied, or one incident might have happened where you walked into a group of people and something happened and you felt stupid and rejected, or somebody laughed at you. That feeling, because it's about feelings, not words, that feeling gets stored in your nervous system as danger, because you felt in danger. Now, anything now that in your neuroception, that thing that's constantly looking out for danger, it constantly looks outside for danger and inside as to, have we had this experience before? This is how we react.
Right.
So when you go into a situation that brings up that same feeling, it will react in that same way. So it will immediately go into panic, into fight or flight. And that will continue to happen throughout your life until you become aware of it. And everything starts with awareness. In fact, self-awareness is like the first bit of my Shift Life transformation system. It's the self-awareness for everything. So as soon as you start to feel, we call it dysregulated, a little bit off, a little bit panicky, a little bit uncomfortable, that's your nervous system becoming dysregulated, going into fight or flight, feeling danger. So in those moments, it's about being really aware of where you're feeling that discomfort. I'm not going to get too scientific on here, but there are three main...
What's caused that reaction for you from your nervous system?
It's your body feeling at the moment. And then we need to try and get it back into regulation to show that you are safe in that moment. So that could be, if you're outside, is wonderful. I know it sounds daft touching a tree. Nature's amazing. If you're in the moment, just focus on your feet. Ground yourself in that moment. Something that's real, something that's tangible. Feel your toes on the floor. Feel your heels on the floor. Just really ground yourself. You're actually telling your body, showing it that you are safe. That's an old feeling. And the more we tune into that, and the more we keep showing our body in those situations that it's safe, the less those feelings come up. So in a way, we are nudging that boundary that we talked about earlier, but from the inside out.
Yeah. Becoming self-aware is a term that we talk about a lot, and it's banded around a lot, but what does that actually mean? And how can we actually become more self-aware?
Yeah, I agree with you. And actually, this whole industry, I feel like there's just so many words that they don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
I think what has happened is so many of us have just become disconnected from our bodies. And I really mean this. We cannot feel any more sensations from our bodies. So self-awareness really, and I try and find words that don't sound wellness world. And I really struggle with it actually. But it really is about like just taking a minute, put your like hand on your heart or your hand on your tummy. Feel your tummy expand and go in as you breathe and feel that's a part of you. That's you. Just reconnect to that because our bodies are constantly sending us signals. And self-awareness is how am I feeling in this moment? Not what am I achieving? Not how big is my business grown? Not what do people think of me? How am I perceived? What's my label? What's my title? How am I feeling? Because surely in life, it is how we're feeling and our enjoyment of it. So for me, self-awareness is just cut out the noise, even if it's for 5 minutes. Turn your phone off, sit on your own. I don't care if you need to nip in the loo for 5 minutes just to be away from any other noise. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Maybe that's what my husband's doing when he's always disappearing.
Oh my God. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? How that used to be a lot of synergy in that conversation. It's self-awareness is honestly just tuning in to your own body and the sensations that are in it. And if you've only got 5 minutes, just do a little quick body scan. Go from the top of your head down to your shoulders, just not trying to change anything. Just feel what sensations are there. Put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your tummy, touch your own body, connect with yourself. How am I feeling? And actually, there's so many people out here in this world who are like, oh, I've got flu again, that same old flu, or I've got, stomach issues, it must be IBS. And they just pass it off as a thing they've got.
Yeah.
It isn't. This is your body sending you signals that it is not happy. You're overloading it. And we only get one body.
Yeah. It's got to last a long time.
Yeah, not only that, it's like it is trying to send you messages as to what feels good for you. If it doesn't feel good, start to tune into that and think of ways, seek help, seek information, read a book, contact someone like me, there's plenty of us out there, Yeah. Thanks.
One of the feelings that people talk about a lot is the gut feeling. So I actually 100% agree with you that I think a lot of us, and myself included actually for a long time, we just stopped listening and in asking our bodies, what's going on. But the one thing that we talk about a lot is, I had a gut feeling about this, and whether I listen to them, my gut feeling is always right. Is that part of the nervous system, or is that more a mind thing?
Yeah. No, do you know what's really funny is you say that? I got a quote the other day, and I'm sure you've heard of Gabor Mate, everybody has. And he said, gut feelings are responses to our environments. Emotions are responses to our minds. And I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
So a gut feel, this is what I'm talking about, those messages from inside. You know when you meet someone how you feel about them. Do you trust them? Do you not? That is a gut feel.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. And I think when we are in business, we can feel if what we're doing feels right in our gut. It feels like we're in, and here we go with those words ago, in alignment. But I don't know what way to say it.
But yeah. It makes sense.
Yet we quite often go against it because we might have had a mentor, or we might see somebody else doing it a different way and go, oh, but they did it, that must be the way. And I think the way things work is by doing what that gut feel is telling you.
Yeah. It's never wrong, is it? Your gut feeling. It's never wrong.
Never a reason.
You have to build that trust up with it, I suppose. So for me, I've been in business for 10 years now, and in the beginning, there were times where I ignored the gut feeling. I went against.
Totally.
It was sort of, people put it down to like a mind and a heart, don't they?
Yeah.
Choosing one or the other. And I was looking at what other people were doing, exactly what you say, other people were doing, or what a business mentor or a friend or somebody told me, "No, you should do it that way."
Yeah.
Listen to them, because I felt, I don't know, external societal pressure that was the way that you should do things in business.
You might be right.
Yeah, they might be, but I knew internally that that wasn't the way for me, but I ignored myself and I went for it anyway. And I learned the hard way a couple of times in the early days of business, and I have not made that mistake since. You know, I listen to myself now. But
Yeah.
it's a gradual process.
Yeah, and I think mistakes teach us, and I'm exactly the same as you. I know what my gut says, and sometimes I've gone the other way, and I've always come back full circle to what gut says. And I think you need to do that. I think you need to make those mistakes and know that that's fine.
Yeah.
To dare to even make the mistake is totally fine. That is learning. You tell kids mistakes are fine.
Yeah.
We're all learning forever, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I think
that. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, the older we get, the more experience we have, the more we learn to properly lean into that gut feel and go with it.
Yeah, I think, it comes with experience and practice and trust. Like I say, you know, choose the other road and learn from that and realise that actually the gut was the right way. And I think the more that you do that, the more you can build trust, because really we all have decisions. It all comes down to a decision, doesn't it? You can choose to listen to your body or you can choose to not, but just listen, turn it yourself, you know, look inside and listen, at least listen to what it's telling you and then make the decision. And I think we could be so disconnected now that we're not even hearing the message in the first place. And I suppose that's what you're helping people to work on, isn't it?
Absolutely, because I tell you what, there's no fulfillment if you're not connected to who you are.
Yeah.
Everything comes from the outside. You know, we need enjoyment in life. We need meaning in life. And everybody's looks different. We all have our own flavour, our own blend that we're naturally born with. You know, why does one person find this person attractive? Why does one person like this type of music and not that? Or this hobby and not that? We come like that.
Yeah.
You know, and without really tuning into who we are and our own special blend, you're never going to, you know, you might be mega successful, you might have millions of pounds in the bank, but if that's not floating your boat, you're never going to feel happy. And what's the point?
Yeah.
That's the thing for me.
That's the thing though, isn't it? It is so easy to be led by what we see, especially now with social media, you know, seeing these people having these beautiful, insta perfect lifestyles, earning the six figures and all of this. And it's so easy to be led that that's what we should be doing. That's what we should be wanting.
Yeah.
And again, in business, you know, I was pushing for down a journey that really wasn't what I wanted, but I thought that's what I should be doing. And then it's only when I was down that path and I was like, I'm not enjoying this at all. Like,
Yeah.
suddenly, suddenly this business that I've been growing is feeling like a job, you know, like I'm losing my passion and my excitement. So I just diverted right back to where I should have been going in the first place. And I had to do that, I suppose, to learn that lesson again. But it's very difficult. It's so much easier said than done, isn't it, to not be led by these beautiful lives that we're shown that you can have. And you can have anything you want, but it has to align with, and there's that word again, with what actually you want, with that perfect blend of you. What is it that you want? And what does success look like for you? Because it's so different for everybody.
It is, and thanks for being so open and honest. And actually, I do think the only way we come back full circle to this is by going down that road. We've all done it.
Exactly.
Honestly, my clients, this is why they come to me. The majority of my clients say, I wish I could go back 3 or 4 years to when I was really enjoying my business.
Yeah.
Because we all set these things up because we're passionate and we love it and we want to deliver, but we end up running a business and doing what we set it up to do. And this is what I say. I help high achievers create a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks from the outside.
Yeah.
Quite often our lives look shiny and glorious and not feeling that.
Yeah.
Help people create that. And it is an utter joy and privilege to be able to help people do that, to feel great in their own lives. You know, it's just a real privilege.
Yeah. And it's like you said earlier, and again, honestly, it's like looking in a mirror.
Yes.
So similar, but what you were saying earlier about when you were younger and on the outside, you know, loving life, that's the soul of the party, you know, really living the best life, but internally those, how you were feeling did not connect with the exterior at all. And I think that actually goes a lot into business as well. So I had someone on in season 1, I think they were on, and she described it as a gilded cage. She'd built her business.
Prison.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's such a lovely term, and it really resonated. Like, she'd built this incredible business, but she was so unhappy in it, and she had to tune in and listen to herself and realize, well, at what point did I start losing the passion? Where do I want to go back to, and what am I wanting it to look like? And I think it can be, and this is why I started this podcast, because we all look up. Everyone is always looking up at someone for inspiration. And all you see 90% of the time when we look up is people are successful, happy, living great lives. But actually, being an entrepreneur is hard. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. We all have tough days in business. And I think it's really important that we are open about those, because when someone is looking up to us, if someone's looking up to me, I want them to know I struggled. I have days where I'm really struggling. It's not a perfect journey. It isn't for anybody. And I want to break any of those myths that, we're all living perfect lives, because we're not. And you need to connect what's happening in your business with it's a much bigger picture, isn't it, than just business. It's your whole life, and make sure that you feel balanced across.
Exactly that. It's a blend, isn't it? And I want people to know that it is okay to say I'm not enjoying this, because what I want you to also recognize with the nervous system, and going back to how we felt as children, there will have been an experience that happened that made us feel unsafe, and we had to learn. This is a common one, people pleasing. I had a pretty crap dad. He left when I was 1, and he would just not turn up some weeks, and I did really everything to try and make him love me like I wanted to be loved. So I tried to please him, and that led on to external validation hugely, always trying to please people, but never feeling like you were doing. Now, that can carry, like I say, it's embedded into your nervous system. That it's not just about talk therapy and understanding why you react like you do. Because I understood what triggered why I reacted like I did or behaved like I did, but I just couldn't stop doing it until I learned about my nervous system and felt these things coming up. So often in business, we are still replicating those same things. That's why we carry on building for that. I mentioned emotional homeostasis. You get to a certain level and you feel great for a bit. Then you need more because you're used to it. And you're just chasing that external to fill a feeling inside that you still have, until you take it to a nervous system level and you start showing your body, it's safe here. When you feel good here, it's safe to stay here. Safe to be here and build your life from this perspective, from this feeling, So there's no shame in having built a mega successful business you're not happy with. It's incredible. Look how talented you are. Look what you're capable of. And now you get to choose to enjoy it too, in a different way maybe, and tweak and make it yours. And I think it's powerful.
So now we've explained what the nervous system is and how it works.
Yeah.
What can you do when like you say, I might have situations I know trigger me, but similar to you, maybe I just, you can't change it. You're aware of it and it happens, but you can't stop it from happening. What can people do? What can the listeners do when they feel themselves in that moment? What would be like the first thing that you would say for them to start changing that, actually making a change?
I mean, it's different for everybody because, I'll give you some really simple tips. And actually, while I'm on here, I have a guide to managing your nervous system when you're running a 6-figure business. I actually charge for it, but I'm going to give your listeners it free. So if you...
Amazing.
Yeah, it's £97, but I'm going to give you it for free. So if you follow me on Instagram, which is Georgia Shears Strategist.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Thank you so much. Just drop me a DM saying guide. I'll know it comes from here and I'll send it to you. There's just too much to go into. So I'm going to...
too big a question.
Really, it's about showing your body it's safe. And like I say, if you are feeling overwhelmed and unhappy in the moment, notice where you're feeling that in your body. Put your hand on it and show it some compassion like you would a friend. This is not woo. This is gentle touch on your own body, like you'd put your hand on someone's shoulder to show support. You can do that for yourself as well. You can shake your body. If you're feeling anxious, give your body a good shake. That energy needs to move. Or if you can go and walk. And then do some nice steady breathing. Or I've actually got something coming out like a 7-day thing just to give you some handy in the moment hints. So if you do follow me on Insta, you will see that coming up as well. It's just, there's too much to give you in one moment, but...
Well, there's some great tips in there already, though.
I hope so.
Yes, no, there is. Amazing. And I'll put all the information in the show notes for everybody. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Georgie, I could speak to you all day about this, but...
I could speak to you. It's been so nice. I know I'm like, the time's passing. Yeah,
I know. I'm sure the listeners have stuff they need to get on with, so we will have to call it a day there. But thank you so much, honestly, for coming and sharing that. And I think, really explaining to us how it works and why we should start looking into that. Like I said, I'll put in the show notes how people can find you if they're looking to dive into that a bit more and learn more about it. But yeah, just thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's just been a glorious conversation. So nice to spend time with you as well.
I know. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us again this week. I will catch up with you all next week. Have a great time. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, which was brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of small businesses and a proud sponsor of the Bold Blueprint podcast. If you're running a small business and you are dreaming big, then Xero is here to help make those dreams a reality. Xero is all about supporting entrepreneurs just like you, who are not just running businesses, but are also changing the game. So whether you're just starting out or you're scaling up, join a global community of small businesses who trust Xero to manage their finances efficiently.